ReLife begins by showing the lives of the people of Tokyo, who seem to be competing to achieve success even though they have to do various ways. Among them was an unemployed man whose life was so miserable. The 27-year-old man is named Arata Kaizaki, and the scene moves to a flashback to Arata's past, where he used to be a smart and responsible man with a bright future. At that time, he worked at a well-known company, until finally for some reason, he resigned. But unfortunately, the resignation harmed Arata's reputation, and he was branded an irresponsible employee. Until then, he had difficulty finding a job. The scene changes when Arata attends a reunion, where he is forced to lie to his friends and say he has found a better job. Therefore, his friends asked him to treat them to food and drinks as a celebration, which he could not refuse. After the reunion is over, Arata returns home drunk. He was actually confused because the money for food had run out to treat his friends to eat and drink. That's when an unexpected incident occurred. A man suddenly came in front of Arata and greeted him. The man then introduced himself as Ryo Yoake, a representative of a secret laboratory called ReLife. Then, he offers him to participate in an experiment, where he will have to take a pill that will make him young again. ReLife is a secret project to reduce society's waste, which they call NEET. Later in this project, NEET will repeat their life by attending high school for 1 year. After that, ReLife will help them start a new life and find a job. Arata initially refused the job offer. But finally, he changed his mind after Yoake explained that the cost of living for 1 year would be covered. So are all his daily needs. The following day, Arata woke up at his house and initially did not feel any significant changes. Finally, in the bathroom mirror, he saw a reflection of himself, much younger. Just then, the doorbell rang. Apparently, Yoake came to bring all Arata needs for him to start a new life as a transfer student at high school. To evaluate and look after Arata, Yoake will enter the same school. Long story short, Arata started his life as a high school student. Contrary to what he originally imagined, he actually has difficulty adapting and often acts like a grown man instead of a teenager at 17. When there is an exam in class, he forgets to bring a pencil. Fortunately, his seatmate, a female student named Rena Karyu, offered to lend him a pencil. Apart from Karyu, several other students in the class were no less interesting. Chizuru Hishiro is one of them, a female student who seems to be antisocial and has no friends. Then, there is a handsome, smart, and popular male student named Kazuomi Oga. During recess, Oga invites Arata and Karyu to chat, and they immediately become friends with each other. Karyu, who has a competitive nature, often argues with Oga, especially about exams. Because despite being very competitive, she apparently never got first place in the class. Unlike Oga, who is very smart and always gets the highest score. Arata, who saw them fighting often, could see that Oga and Karyu actually liked each other, even though they didn't dare to express their feelings. The scene moves to the previous morning, when Yoake explains everything about the school and ReLife. He emphasizes that when the experimental period ends the following year, everyone's memories of Arata will disappear. On the other hand, he will still remember when he lived a new life as a 17-year-old teenager. His memory would be erased if he later leaked about the ReLife project. A few days later, Arata has begun to adapt and even make close friends with his classmates. While having lunch in the cafeteria, he sees Hishiro having a problem because she doesn't have any food, so he intends to help her. Hishiro explains that the school provides special lunches for outstanding students like herself. But at the time, somehow, the lunch had run out while she didn't bring any money to buy food. Arata feels sorry for her condition and ends up lending her 1,000 yen so she can buy lunch. When Arata came home from school that day, he again met Hishiro, who was alone in class. After talking for some time, Hishiro vented how she had a hard time adapting, leaving her without friends. She saw Arata's closeness with the other students even though he had just transferred to the school, and asked for advice so that she too could adapt. As a figure who is actually an adult, Arata then gives suggestions for Hishiro to smile more. But when she followed the advice, the smile she showed him actually looked scary. After that, she asked for Arata's phone number as a starting point for her to start making friends. Hishiro's actions were praised by Arata, who was touched by her and said that her efforts had been very good. The next day at school, Oga and Hishiro were chosen to represent the class because they got the highest score. While on the other hand, Arata actually faces test sheets, all of which get bad grades. It's not only him who is sad because of his grades. Karyu seems to have experienced the same thing. She looked at the front of the class with irritation and jealousy because her grades were below Hishiro's. Especially when Hishiro walked in front of the class and accidentally looked at Karyu, Hishiro's smile seemed mocking, which made her even more annoyed. During recess, Karyu vented her frustration by hiding Hishiro's bag, which was in the teacher's room. When Karyu was about to hide Hishiro's bag, she ran into Arata, making them both fall down the stairs. They pass out, and Arata wakes up in the clinic room with Karyu lying on the bed beside him. When Karyu woke up, she vented her displeasure at Hishiro. She thinks Hishiro got everything she wanted easily and mocks her failure. Hearing that, Arata then advised her not to give up and keep fighting even though she always failed. As for Hishiro's smile, Arata instead suggested she ask Hishiro to smile the next time they met. He then said that Hishiro was actually a sweet girl. Hishiro asks why Karyu hid her bag on the way home from school, which Arata then returns. But he only asked her to ask Karyu about it herself. Hishiro finally waited for Karyu in front of the school gate, making Karyu misunderstand and think she was waiting to scold her. Before Hishiro could say anything, Karyu had already expressed her displeasure and even said that she hated her. Finally, Karyu followed Arata's suggestion to ask Hishiro to smile, and saw that her smile looked scary, as if she was mocking her. Karyu burst out laughing, and they immediately made up and started a friendship. The scene moves when Oga is about to go to Arata's house to study together. Even though he has studied with Oga, Arata's grades are still not improving. Flashback to Arata's past. While working at his previous company, he knew that a female employee was framed by seniors who were jealous of her achievements. The employee could not withstand the pressure from the surroundings and chose to end her life, making Arata feel very sad. This makes him decide to quit his job because he knows how the people in the company are not good. A few days later, Oga finally realizes his feelings for Karyu even though he doesn't know how to confess those feelings. Finally, he contacted Arata to say that he likes Karyu, and he asked for advice on how to approach the girl. Arata, who already has a lot of experience, advises him to be manly and confess love in a romantic atmosphere, like during the fireworks festival. Long story short, they all came to the fireworks festival. Oga and Karyu are a couple, as are Arata and Hishiro. In the end, Oga confesses his feelings to Karyu, and she says that she has the same feelings as him. Although Karyu was surprised that Oga confessed his feelings in the crowd at the festival, she asked him to be her boyfriend. In another scene, Hishiro and Arata are alone watching the beauty of the fireworks. Then, he glanced at her and noticed his feeling for her. But the surprise occurred because the flashback scene showed that Hishiro was also an experimental figure from ReLife. However, she failed in the first year, so she begged Yoake for a second chance, so that this year is her second time in life as a high school student. Time flies, and one day, Arata asks Yoake for pills to restore his body. On that day, he wanted to make a pilgrimage to the grave of his colleague and senior. At the funeral, Arata accidentally runs into a junior at the company he used to work. The juniors apparently recognized him and expressed their admiration for him for having the courage to defend his co-workers who were treated unfairly. Even Arata's actions motivated them to be brave like him. The meeting with his juniors was apparently very memorable for Arata, so he was compelled to make so many memories with his friends at this time. Armed with this intention, Arata then intends to confess his feelings to Hishiro. That night, he met Hishiro and confessed his feelings. Unfortunately, she rejects his love because she thinks there is no point in being with him if his memory will be lost after her one-year experiment is over. In fact, she has the same feelings for him. 1 year later, the two of them will soon be graduating from school. Arata and Hishiro feel sad knowing each other's memories will be erased. In the school garden, they hugged, and Hishiro imagined how he would never remember her at all. On graduation day, Arata approached his classmates who were having fun to thank them for the memories they had given them. He then said that he was very grateful to have met Hishiro. ReLife ends by showing Arata currently working as a ReLife agent, like Yoake. One day while having a meal with other employees, he sees Hishiro, who apparently works as a ReLife agent. But at that time, both of their memories had been erased, so they did not recognize each other. She said that ReLife was like fireworks. Those words evoked their memories of watching fireworks together at the festival. Hishiro recognized Arata and immediately called out his name. The moral that can be learned from this anime is, everyone deserves a second chance. Although maybe not like Arata who gets a second chance to repeat at school.